What's up, guys? We got Michael Casino on the pod today, and this was a great episode because he talks about his journey being initially full time in the business and then running it part time, transitioning from his past lives as firefighter, cop. So that's relatable, I think, to a lot of our industry. We have a lot of folks that do this part time, and so I was really curious to hear his perspective and talk about running a business part time and trying to grow it even to a multi inspector firm, while not necessarily living, breathing, and doing it every minute of every day. So that was really interesting to hear. He talks about the weird dynamics in New York City. So for those of you in the Northeast, this one will be very interesting and relatable. He talks about his partnership with a moving company in the city, which I think is really, he's done it well, it sounds like. And I think it's also where the future of the industry is going in terms of partnering with other providers and helping out homeowners with that value add service. So he talks about how he's executed that and how it's really worked out well for him. And then he talks about annualized maintenance inspections and how to turn it into like a product that can be sold. And I think the concept of productizing these types of services that sometimes have never really taken off in some markets, but they have in others. That's like what I want people to know is that I don't believe that these just don't work. I think it's how they're packaged up, marketed, and sold. And so we have a good conversation about possibly productizing these annual maintenance inspections and what they can turn into. And then we talk a little bit about imposter syndrome towards the end, which is a refreshing conversation, even for the toughest of dudes, firefighters, cops, we all face it in terms of getting the business off the ground and running. So hope you guys enjoy. And as always, if you have ideas for guests or think of someone or know of someone in the industry that you think would be great on the podcast, send them our way. We appreciate you guys. And as always, share the pod. It keeps me excited, motivated to do it. And so if you hear episodes that you enjoy, share it on social. We always really appreciate that. It gets more people listening to it and expands our reach. So thanks a lot, y'all. All right, we're rolling. Mike, thanks for joining me, man. Great to meet you.
Nice meeting you, brother.
We have not met yet, but I want to get right into a topic that you mentioned. So you mentioned the journey of a part-time inspector. And when I went and pulled up your account, it did not look like the volume of a part-time inspector. So I was very impressed and naturally wanted to ask you, kind of what did you mean by that when you said, let's chat about it? Kind of what was that journey like from the beginning in terms of legging into this part-time?
Yeah, well, yeah, thanks for having me on, by the way. Always a big, huge Spectora has been a huge part of my growth and my journey here as an inspector in New York City. But pretty much my first year, actually, I wasn't part-time. My first year was full-time. I kicked the ground off running in 2021 of March.
Yep.
That was kind of like a big boom of
Post-COVID boom, right? You jumped right in. Yeah.
it was crazy. It was I did have another job. It wasn't like a full-time job. So I was full-time inspector, but I had like another part-time small gig doing fire safety. So, and that's pretty much, I was a New York City cop. I resigned from that career and I just wanted to do something different. And home inspections was something I kind of fell into from a friend that was doing it. And I went on a few ride-alongs with him. And he's still an active, my mentor is still an active inspector in Queens and Long Island. And I was just really blown away by the potential of the business. I was very excited. So that gave me the power to leave my career, and yeah, so my first year, I just, made my own logo. It was really like grassrooted it, didn't
Yeah.
really, besides the only premier thing, product I was signed up for was you guys. That was the only thing I really spent a lot of money on. I
Sure.
got a cheap drone and all the basics to do. It's not terribly expensive to get going with tools.
Right. That's the beauty of this industry, right? Is a lot of people don't understand it's not tens of thousands of dollars like lots of other businesses. You can jump right in and get going. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Oh, thank
Wanted to get that in there. So, because there are a lot of, I think, cops, firefighters, UPS workers that get into this business kind of in a part-time capacity. But you, like you said, you dove right in, and
Yeah.
then and so it's become part-time since then. Like,
Yeah.
what's
So
that transition like?
I was my first year, like I said, I was doing, like I said, I took like that boom was, they said anyone who had a pulse that was a realtor or a home inspector, did amazing that year. And it was kind of true. I made a few I went into a few networking events. I literally made a few phone calls to agents, and next thing I knew, that first year I did almost 80, which was a lot, and I
That's
was like,
great.
God, this is amazing. And then at the end of October 2021, I got the call from the FDNY, and I had to pretty much put a halt to the whole company, and I had to go into the academy, which is like 5 days a week, exhausting. It's like a boot camp for 18 weeks. So I had to send all my business to other inspectors that were friends of mine,
Um,
and basically in 2022 cut my inspecting numbers in half. So this past 2021 was my first year being a full-time fireman and being a full-time home inspector at the same time. Full-time as in part-time, both of them, but
right.
full-time both. I'm quite busy, just constantly working, pretty much every day. So yeah, that's pretty much where we stand. And then I got back to those numbers in a couple different ways, I think. Um,
Yeah. So what? So it was they were just in a short. They had a shortage of firefighters, and they were like, "We need you," and it was a compelling enough of a package and offer for you to say, "Yeah, I'll go do that," as opposed to keep growing the home inspection business.
yeah, so I come from a history of firefighting, so it was kind of always like kind of the end goal. And the I took that test in 2016. So it takes a long time to get on the job. Like I said, 2016, it took me, I don't know, 4 or 5 years to get hired. So the list, 60,000 people take the test. And so if you get the call for that job, you take it. Like there's no, I knew, at the end of the academy, I would be able to start growing the business again, no matter what, because the schedule is very, very forgiving. And you have a lot of, you do long shifts, but then you have a long days off usually, 4 days off, 3 days off, pretty commonly. So that gives me an opportunity to grow. But the caveat to that is I am not as flexible as the full-time inspector. Period. This is no way I could. Sometimes I'm not available, even if my numbers don't reflect it. Right. Typically, right. Guys who max out are doing what, 400 a year, right? 300
They run
by
themselves
themselves.
ragged. Yeah.
Yeah, by themselves. Yeah, and that's usually the time where guys are saying, okay, I got to hire, right?
Right.
And I'm kind of at that point now, or hit that point, but in half because of my other career.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always thought it was an ideal profession for firefighters for that exact reason, the scheduling. Were there other challenges in terms of structuring your schedule, talking to agents? Like, were you just like completely upfront about it right away? How did you logistically navigate that?
Yeah, it was actually really hard because a lot of people, once I started, I lost agents to other good inspectors. It's plenty. I'm not gonna send them to bad inspectors. I'm gonna send them to, qualified guys I trust, and they wind up liking those guys, and now it's like they know they're, like trust them, they're available. And you know, that took a big hit, so I had to, not restart, but I had to regrow those relationships. There's still people that call me and say, "Oh, do you still do inspections?" And I'm like, "Yes, of course." Like they still have that idea that I started a new career because I did put it out there because I wanted them to know what was kind of going on. But now it's kind of like I said, it took time, but I kind of rebounded from that, and people understand like how I operate.
Sure. Are there things you have specifically learned as a firefighter that help you in the home inspection profession? And
Oh
what are
yeah,
they? What
yes.
types of things?
There has been, it's amazing how much they cross paths because especially in the way our buildings in Queens, especially in where my particular firehouse is, right? There's a lot of row frames, a lot of brownstone type row frames, and when you're in a trucking company, you have to know what a scuttle is, what scuppers are, all that stuff, all that verbiage, and just knowing, even knowing, I've been in hundreds of brownstone type, attached houses. I know I can feel out where the scuttle is every just walking in, and having that, is very important when you're a firefighter and you have to get to the roof and you know exactly where it's supposed to be at least, and stuff like that. Um, just having knowledge of building construction in general is so important when you're a firefighter. So obviously it relates to, you know, being a home inspector, CO leaks. There's just so many things. It's like it's balloon framing, huge issue in firefighting, right? Because the smoke can extend easily. There's a lot of things. It's actually a blessing, you know. So what I've been doing, like my new trainee, he's also a firefighter, so he's learning, you know, things that are both helping both his careers at the same time, which is pretty cool.
That's what I was going to ask you was, are you going to continue to recruit from the firefighting world because you know what they're going through, you can kind of coach and guide them? Like, was that intentional or did it kind of happen just by coincidence?
You know, I always knew that I was gonna eventually hire somebody, and I didn't say at first, oh, I want them to all be firemen, you know. But when you tell people, hey, this is what, you become close, you know, they're your brothers, you become close brothers and sisters, you become close to these guys and girls. So pretty much, you know, if I tell someone, hey, you know, the first person I would tell, everyone knows, right? Everyone knows my side business. And my trainee's name is Sanjay. He texted me and he showed interest, right? And then without me even kind of telling him to, he just took it upon himself to pay for his own training, right?
Oh,
His own
wow.
class. Yeah. So I'm not gonna, you know, I didn't necessarily go recruit him, but anyone who's willing to learn and wants to grow and wants to, you know, start their own side business, I'm not gonna. You know, that's pretty much, you know, you're halfway there, right? I could teach them everything else. You know, having the hunger to, you know, want to make money and want to grow, something more than just being a fireman. There's plenty of guys that are just firemen. They work overtime, and there's no problem. You know, that's nothing wrong with that. But especially living where we live, you know, you need to make a quite amount of money to say you're comfortable. You know,
Sure, sure.
so
Well, one other
that's
dynamic I'm curious about. So I don't know a ton about the life of a firefighter, but I have heard, so it's like a lot of downtime in the firehouse, right? When things aren't happening, when something's not going on. Are you able to use that time to work on the business, to like respond to emails, texts, marketing? Like, how does that work? Is it
yeah, you're
advantageous?
not yeah, you're not there's not as much downtime as you think.
Really?
So plus it's against, you know, policy. You can't be making cold calls or stuff on the, you know, at the firehouse, right? So you
Got
can't
it.
be working on any kind of business related stuff at the firehouse. So that's something we definitely don't do. But there's not, I mean, it's like a rumor or a myth that there's downtime, you know, because between doing building inspections, we do building inspections, obviously, also in the fire department, cooking the meal, cleaning, which is a lot of cleaning goes on in the fire department.
A lot of
There's not a
life, right? A lot of
yeah,
living life there.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's our house, right? We take care of our house the way you would take care of yours, but it stays open 24/7, so it gets quite and it's basically a garage, so too, you know, it gets quite dirty. So cleaning, cooking, um, outside of, you know, responding to emergencies is pretty much the name of the game when we're there. But you know, if someone, and you know, we all have our phones on, though. If someone texts me, you know, I could do a schedule or something there. But outside
Good.
of that, yeah,
Yeah, and that's even great because I know some folks that had either like manufacturing jobs, office jobs, they like couldn't even look at their phones or computers during that shift, and they maybe miss an inspection. Whereas it's good that you can at least get it booked, right? And say like,
yeah.
"Yep,
I'm
free
still
Thursday."
navigating. Yeah, I'm still navigating that though, because yeah, if I'm on the top floor of a fire, you know, crawling around trying to find people, I'm
Yeah,
not answering my phone. So there is I've been trying to navigate that. Haven't solved that issue yet. I know there's call centers. I was experimenting with VoIPs, and that
yep.
hasn't been so great so far yet for me. I'm still trying to figure that out and get, you know, use someone I know to answer the phone, or like get the phone to ring both times, my phone and someone else's. So we're not there yet. I'm figuring that out.
Sure. Yeah, it'll get there. Well, I've heard all the different solutions. I've heard VAs.
Yeah.
I've heard of autoresponder text messages where it's like if it rings, it automatically fires off a text with a link, so then they can still book some time. So there's a lot of creative ways to work through that. So you basically have hired a trainee, which I think is pretty unique and cool, frankly, to be quote part-time, and I'll put that in quotes because you can get super busy, it looks like, and feel like two full-time jobs. But for the sake of this chat, we'll call it part-time. So do you envision this being able to scale? So say you keep filling up with business, you get another guy on board because Most part-timers just do it for supplementary income and never hire anyone. So that's the
Yeah.
context for my question. So I think it's really cool that you're saying, all right, we're going to grow this thing, even if it is part-time.
Yeah, the tricky thing to that is, right, I can't that the reason that the firemen, other firefighters are perfect is because I can't necessarily, I don't think I'm comfortable hiring somebody that's going to be full time and they can do, they could do more than I can. I'm not there yet. Maybe in the future, like when I have a few part-time guys, I could do that. And, it's to that point, that scale. But for now, I think just having everyone being part-time makes the most sense. But I think that I needed a challenge also, in training, you know, is teaching me my faults, my weaknesses, and it's just such a different animal, like trying to train someone, and it's been very fun, and as I'm doing it, I'm like, okay, if I did it again, if I did this again, he's not even close to being done, obviously, either.
Right.
So I'm not even at the end of it where I'm like, okay, he's ready to be, rocking and rolling by himself. So when I get to that point, I'm gonna sit back and say, okay, that was fun. This was great. Now, how do I, do it more efficiently, more smoothly? And there's so many different things that go into it. Even like just you're dealing with another person now, another life, another, their schedule, their stuff. It's just totally, it's a different, being in business alone and then being in business with, contractors is totally different. Different beasts.
Yeah, that's almost a PSA for solo inspectors out there. The emotional weight that it adds to your brain in terms of you're always thinking about them. You have to still think about yourself and your schedule and your health, but you're thinking about all that times two. And
Yes.
it only gets worse, or better, I guess, for what, depending on how you look
Yeah.
at it.
I wanted the
Um,
pressure. I wanted the pressure of that to say, okay, I need to double everything. I need to get more leads for him. I want to,
yeah.
almost saying, okay, if I could have just said, oh, I could do this number every year and not grow a single more inspection every year, and I'd be fine. Honestly, I'd be fine, right? If it was
Mhm.
just me. Now, when I have another person, okay, now I want to do triple for him, for us, and
Yeah.
say, okay, now I'm making this, and now he's making all this good money because of what I've created, and it's a good feeling. And like I said, if I could do a few more times, I don't know where it's gonna go, but that's where my brain is right now.
I love that. What was that Yeah, what was kind of that strategizing like when you did hire him? Was it more intentionality around reaching out to a certain amount of agents? Did you get on social media? Like, what was the attack approach to say, okay, I am going to grow to generate more business. How am I going to do it? Like, what was the
Yeah.
even seedlings of the how?
Well, it's interesting because like I'm not sure, like I'm assuming most inspectors know their competition, and they're usually everyone's pretty friendly, right? So I know inspectors all over New York, East Suffolk County, to Nassau County, Queens, my own mentor, right? And I talk to them and see how they're doing, and everyone has stuff that works for them. I think different, for different reasons. Consistency is a big thing for a lot of guys in my market, right? And that's another reason I hired, because again, that was one of my bigger weaknesses is I was losing, I can't do it tomorrow. I can't do it Wednesday, stuff like
Right.
that.
Right.
So now, having that flexibility makes me more of a powerhouse in that regard. But in terms of saying, okay, what was working for us, I I think that like calling agents, just call brand new, never just have no idea who you are, is one of the things I've been doing every year since I started. Right.
Nice.
I got that advice from a close agent friend of mine who's very successful in Florida now. And I've been doing that ever since. It's not an easy thing. It takes a lot of time, obviously. I'm trying to like I said, I'm in the process of I hired a cold caller last January to
Mhm.
kind of like weed through, just get them warm, saying, or who's not in the business, who moved to California, all this stuff out of a huge number of agent phone numbers. So that was a big thing for us. I really doubled down on Facebook and Instagram ads the past couple months, just brand awareness. Trying to hone in on that, and I'm doing this all by myself too. You can outsource all this stuff, which is also, if you have the cash, I recommend outsourcing everything, I'm not gonna lie. But if trying to budget, figuring out some of these skills and tools is vital to growth. But the ads, I think it's hard to track and stuff like that. But when you making relationships on the phone, and then, I called this person Friday, and then 2 months later, you see them at a networking event. It's like, that's where it compounds into, you're just gonna get more leads. You're gonna get more leads from that.
Yeah. Was there any learning or preparation before the cold calling? Like what was your mentality going into that? Because you're right, it's scary for the average person. They never know what to say usually. Like how did you prepare?
Yeah, I sometimes I repeat my own script. It's like I just build it as I get into the calls. Some days I'll want to tell them about a new software, not new software, a new a service like mold, or
Sure.
push the thermal imaging, whatever I want to actually like just have the cook for them to actually listen to me. But an actual recently I have this very interesting thing I do. That is I have a partnership with a moving company, and a big moving company in Westchester, right?
Mhm.
They This guy Joe called me on a Tuesday night randomly, right? Tuesday night, 8 o'clock. I get this call from this guy. He is a bundle of energy, right? And he's telling me, he's like, I have this partnership we should do. And long story short, he he will deliver, right, moving supplies, boxes, tape, markers, all this stuff, right, to my clients, to their door, for free, just to work with, if they work with me, right?
Wow.
He delivers the stuff. Obviously, he gets the lead and he tries to sell them on the move. But if they don't close, that's it. Like, it could be a $3 million house in Westchester. That's moving to Long Island, and he's still going to deliver, what is it, $400 in moving supplies to them for free. People don't even believe it. They
Yeah.
don't even believe. But I'm assuming his average price is nice for moving, because it's expensive, right, to move
Yeah.
versus whole. So for his lead, he for the price of that, just getting the lead is valuable to him, right? So his business is like skyrocketing, and it's something that brings value to us. So that's something I tell my agents. I sell it to the agents as, me and Jose the realtor, we're offering it to the client
Yeah.
from us, and it's on us. And when you work with these, work with us as a team, and stuff like that. So that's been something that's just been, agents can't believe it. They love it. And stuff like that, teaming up with people like that is a huge, is how you grow.
Definitely. Have you gotten feedback from the moving company that people have taken them up and hired them and it's gone well?
Yeah, they do notify you. Yeah. When, it's, I think it's, you need the right client. Again, like, it's in Queens, or if it's in Queens, or it's a small apartment, stuff like that. I mean, everyone's different. So if they're moving from an apartment to a house, they might not have that much stuff and need a mover, or so it's always, it's I got this is like a recent thing, so I'm gonna get
Yeah.
more data as it comes. So
Awesome.
yeah.
I ask that because it is a growing trend this year and even last year of inspectors making these connections with any type of contractor or service, letting the client know, client uses them, and it provides value overall. And I think there's a softening up of inspectors' mentality around it because
Yeah.
people need help finding these contractors. I did every time I've moved. And
Yeah.
sometimes you just don't feel great just going and Googling it and doing all that work when you
Yeah.
you know a company that you say is reputable.
Yeah.
Do you see yourself building that out? Like, do clients ask you for other types of experts, contractors? Do you like in terms of the value you're building for your business and what you offer, do you see that growing?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of different partnerships with, I have a foundation, and there's certain ones that they're not easy to find. It's even in a major city, like foundation specialists, not an easy contract. Just pick up the phone or even Google and find. You're not
Right.
going to just be like, you will find stuff, but it's just not an easy thing to find, like a plumber or an electrician. I have a general contractor, Anthony Zotinas, shout out, and me and him have been back and forth. The past, I think we got together maybe 6 months ago. We've been, really, really good relationship there. And he he throws me leads for mold. I throw him leads for any lead I see for a contract, and he's the one who gets them. So and I also have like a chimney, ageless chimney. I have a couple of guys that I throw a lot of leads to. I think the hardest thing about like the is like people getting to that point of the report, or even
Right.
getting information to them. Like saying just the moving aspect with the New York mover, I actually put that on the top of my inspection. It's the first thing they see.
Smart.
Free moving supplies is the first tab on my report. So that, because like I said, that's something that I told them about before, in hiring me, and I want them to this is the information. But you don't know about they need a roof until the end of the inspection, right? So it
Right.
goes to the bottom of the report that they got, this is our roofer and or this is our contractor. And I think that people, like I said, everyone's so hesitant to call anybody. So
Yeah.
unless they say, oh, now I want to fix it, then they come to me. Most of my leads I give to my contractors are honestly from realtors saying, hey, does anyone have a contractor? And then I'll really
Interesting.
I'll send it to them hey, this is Anthony's awesome. This is him, you know?
That's
Um,
smart, moving it to the top of the report. That's good product feedback for us on the recommended contractors
yeah,
feature, actually, to give the
yeah.
option to move that up top.
Yeah, I actually just, like I said, I just made an info tab, and it says call this number for your free moving supplies. And, again, some people might, it's one of those things where people forget
Yeah.
even to, I told them about it and they still might just not remember, or not care enough. You know what I'm saying? To
Yeah.
actually it's free. It's literally free. Here it is, and they just, I don't know, it's just interesting.
Yeah. It's almost as if I like people with advanced have to have actions that fire off like a couple weeks later when they're
Yeah.
actually getting closer to say, hey, remember, we can help
Yeah.
you out with these things.
Yeah.
Um, love hearing that. Appreciate you sharing that because I think that I believe I think it's part of the future of how inspectors can create more value, hence increase their prices, and someday have that relationship go both ways between or go all ways between agent, inspector, contractor.
Yeah.
With you guys being a little more of the center of the hub,
Yes.
I do believe that's going to be the future. Of course, I'm biased and I want to see it happen for you guys and for the industry, right?
Well, it's information, right? Information is the most valuable thing. Everyone wants the info, just the data, right? The data. And a big thing from Spectora, I forgot to mention this, is that even if they don't call me, even if they don't call the New York mover, I literally send them an email. So
Mm,
with actions, right? So Spectora has
gotcha.
actions, where actions has been by far the most revenue generating for thermal imaging add-ons, mold add-ons, all that stuff has made me, it's got to be tens of thousands of dollars this year in
Beautiful.
that alone, because me telling them on the phone and then me telling them in an email that's clearly, and they read the email, is totally different than there. And then you can time it, right? You can time the email for 3 hours after the schedule, or 6 hours, whatever you want. And like I was saying, the New York mover, even if they don't call them, they still get that lead. John Smith scheduled with us, and I tell them in the email, it says don't call them until after my inspection's over, because I don't want them. I'm saying,
Sure.
day after the inspection, you can call the lead, or tell them about the free moving supplies. But the add-ons for the mold and the I don't do radon, but radon and all that stuff is unbelievable with the Spectora.
What cadence have you found success with? Is it 3 hours after? So you mentioned 3 or 6 hours. Like what tends to kind of get their attention when it's like
I
after
think
the booking?
I'm pretty sure mine's like 3 or 6 hours. I haven't even experimented. That's a good point. I should probably write that down and try that, to change it up. Or I don't I only send them one email. Also, I should probably be doing double that. When it comes to reviews, I don't have a ton of actions. I know some inspectors have crazy number of actions. For what I've seen, I have a small list, but my review actions I have are on the money.
Crushing it.
Texts, emails, crushing it. I get reviews almost. I want to say this year, I'm like at 99 reviews on 5-star reviews on Google. I'm about to hit
About to hit
100.
100.
Yeah, I'm about to be in the 100 club, and that I think this year, I swear, I think I got like a 60% or 80%. Everybody, like 80% of the people I worked with left me a review. And like I said, on Google, nonetheless, which is not, getting the Spectora reviews is way easier because it's so easy,
Right.
right? It's click it, it's like automatic. But the Google, I want the Google because in my market, it's so important, so important.
That is amazing. So you do multiple texts, emails, and just
Yeah.
want directly ask them with the link.
I think I do 3 emails and 2 text. I just did a action for 12 months annual maintenance, which I didn't have on at all. That I don't even know if that's gonna. Obviously, I don't know if that's gonna. We'll find out in a year because I just started that. I think 8 months ago. So in about 2 more months, we'll be seeing if that's
That's great.
converting. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you've packaged, you've kind of productized the annual maintenance inspection. Is that kind of what you're, or like what are you calling it? How are you kind of presenting it?
Yeah, yeah. I think it was just more of like, here's what am I like just it's your 12 months anniversary from your moving, buying your property. If you want a home maintenance inspection, annual home maintenance inspection, just to seeing, just to testing it and seeing if, because honestly, if it works, I'm gonna do it. I don't know, 6 years, and do six of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I also had the idea. I don't know. I'll see if your opinion, because I watch a lot of Cody Sanchez on YouTube. YouTube. She's like a big small business like
Yep.
guru,
Yep.
and she always talks about a productized business, a productized service, right?
Hmm.
And I started thinking about um maybe charging like double what I would to include the year inspection, the 12-month inspection, right? I inspect it today, and then I'll inspect it in 12 months for what you pay today, right? Like, and that's something that you're doubling revenue, and but again, if it's a product people like, you're going to be doing a ton of inspections, but it's good. I don't know yet. It's an idea I had, and I don't know if it's gonna come into everything. I'm an open book, so if anyone wants to steal it, let me know if it works.
I love this so much because I don't think there's a downside to offering it and creating
Yeah,
it as a service.
right.
Price it at double or 50% more, whatever you do, because it only is going to make your standard service look cheaper.
Yes.
Not in a
Yes.
bad way either, just more of like anchoring, to the higher
Right.
price. Um, I still hold out hope, Mike, that home buyers will see the value in an annual checkup, just like we do with our health, like our bodies.
Yep. Yep.
Um, I do tell me what you think about this. I think the connecting factor is kind of what you alluded to, which is you actually have some good contractors, if needed, that you can call in to help out if you find anything on that annual checkup, as opposed to you touching a few things and being like, "Yep, it's all good. Thanks for the, couple $100." But like you're genuinely saying, "Hey, upkeep will save you money over time, but if you need anything, I do know a electrician or a foundation
Absolutely.
contractor."
And you're also extending, right? You're extending that relationship with the person. So
Right.
we're fast, not fast, but it's a very small time with the client, right? You get scheduled tomorrow, and then you're with them for 2 hours, and then they get the report, they like your service, leave your review, and then it's over, right?
Yeah.
So like now you're extending it another 12 months, saying, hey, I'm gonna come back to the house, re-inspect, or even if you do, I don't know, you want to do 18 months, whatever it is, you're extending that. And now, hey, you know what? If you know anyone moving, I'm a great, you had a great experience with me. Please, give them my card. It's just more leads, more time with the clients. Um, and it's valuable to the realtor. It's valuable to everybody, to you and your realtor, if that's that's where you got that lead originally from, right? Um, Everyone wants to stay in touch with these clients that are moved. If they're moving,
Right.
they're it's very interesting. So
I and it just it's this, I believe, the solution to what I call like the limited visibility that inspectors have of where their revenue is going to come from. It's like you usually don't know 1 or 2 weeks out where the jobs are coming from, and that's scary, and like that insecurity, I don't want that to be like a staple of this industry. Whereas if you had visibility of like, nope, 12 months from now, I'm going to have those annuals rolling in, um, whether you get paid up front or not, which pay at close, that's something we're going to be rolling out in the future. We'll see if that makes people more likely to say, at $800, that'll be good for, I'll pay for that because I can defer it to the closing.
Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Thank you for reminding me. I didn't even know, and that's gonna work with uh like you guys pay us. I forgot how that's gonna work. I don't know if that's
Yeah. So
they,
basically, we would have like a line of credit to front kind of the
oh,
cost
okay,
of whatever the client pays, and
right,
then
right.
client pays at close, um,
I see.
defers it basically,
Right, right.
just like with everything else in the real estate transaction. So
Yeah, yeah. That's interesting. I think that a lot of people like that, especially on bigger, like price pointed, like if you're doing a full service, right? You're doing everything, radon, thermal imaging, mold, and a home inspection together, like or it's
yeah.
over $1,000 or something. Yeah, that would probably be something a lot of people would like in certain markets.
And
Um,
and I'm okay with it because I think people are too price sensitive only when it comes to the inspection. Out of all the things in the transaction, it's like the appraisal could be 10 grand, and I think people wouldn't even like know or care because I think the
yeah,
appraisal prices have gone up and no one's batting an eyelash at it. So it's kind of
yes,
ridiculous.
absolutely. Some people, I mean, there's some clients obviously that are just or even some agents that work with in their particular market will say, oh, my clients won't pay that. I'm like, all right, well, that's not the market obviously for me. They're playing for a totally different caliber of inspector, right? They're paying for the low end, and I would say I'm definitely high end, in terms of inspector wise, and again, there's a lot of inspectors that are like off the radar, right? That just, what I mean? Like they just, especially in my market, because there's a huge population of people, right? So, I'm not competing with those guys, I just wouldn't. I've tried a lot of other things, Kevin. Like I had door hangers. I have door hangers here for a free listing inspection. Because I drive, like I said, it's a highly
Hmm.
dense population. I have door hangers with, 10% off free listing
Oh,
inspections.
nice.
I never use them. It's like one of those things where like I bought them, I designed them, and then I'm like, I'm not stopping at every house I see a for sale sign on. It's just one of those things that there's an idea and it didn't come. There's just so many like things that I did in my time that I didn't don't work or just aren't realistic, So
I love that
just like
mentality though. Let's dig into that because I fear of failure, I think, stops some new home inspectors from trying things out and they just wait for the safe play and it never comes. And you know what I mean? And so like, how
yeah.
did you where'd you get that mentality from of like, you know what, I'm gonna shoot my shots?
Well, I figured, if you don't try, you're not gonna know. I mean, you
Yeah.
just you gotta step up to mess up, right? Like even for me, like Google ads, right? There's companies in my market that are huge, $1 million back, angel investors and backed, and they have 20 plus inspectors. And I'm not sure the biggest, but they have huge ad spend, right? You type in home inspector in my area and they're coming up. I cannot compete with them at all. There's just no way I'm competing with them on I know I'm not like a Google ad specialist or anything, but I know for a fact that, the bid, I can't afford, $40, $50 click,
Right.
the way
Right.
they might. So that has not been, I always, 2022, 2021, I definitely dabbled in it and I just blew money and didn't even, I got a few leads and it wasn't worth it. Local service, I'm back in. Local, so what's it called? Local service, local Google guaranteed service, right?
Yes. Yep.
That is something that I've been getting. They're good leads. The phone calls you get, they're solid. I haven't been converting because a lot of people will call me from mold, but but I recently, I'm talking like 2 weeks in, and I haven't, it's been really, I haven't bumped up the ad spend either.
But
But those leads
solid
are,
on
yeah,
solid so far.
and exactly that they're coming. The phone rings and it says Google local lead. It tells you. So it's not like, yeah, it's not like when you're doing, even when you're running call ads, you got to check the tracker and like compare stuff. It's so much work. Like I said, I would outsource that. But sorry. Oh my God. Sorry.
I'll
So
get
literally the local ads, those are like, they're so clearly from, it's very easy to track them. And then what do? You have to actually go into the website and actually confirm them and say this lead didn't hire me, this one did, and that's been very exciting for me because it only works well if you have a lot of reviews, which I do. So if you don't have
Ah,
a lot of reviews, do not run them because it will prioritize me and everyone else that has 100 plus. But if you only have 2 reviews, you're not going to show. So if you have a solid Google profile, the localized services are really, I think, something you should look into.
that's a great piece of advice. Did you have to apply to kind of like be accepted to that? Was it hard?
Yeah, no, it was a little weird at first because I think yeah, you have to confirm your insurance, but it was pretty straightforward. It was pretty easy to set up. Just as long as all your Google emails and stuff are in the right place. But like I said, those it's really smart too. It won't even charge you if it's like a short phone call. If the person's only on the phone for 10 seconds, it doesn't even charge you. It knows if the phone call was 5 minutes and it charges you for the it charges you. And then if it's because obviously if you're on the phone for 5 minutes, it is some kind of thing. It knows that it's a good lead because you're talking to the person.
Yeah.
So it's been something. It's been out. I want to say it's been out 2 years, and I'm definitely behind the 8 ball on it, but I might be moving like some of my Facebook and Instagram budget into that instead and moving that around.
That sounds like a good call, given those are high intent leads once they get to Google and type in home inspector, right? As opposed to the ones browsing, clicking around on social
Yeah,
media.
yeah.
It's tough. Facebook and Instagram is tough.
Yeah, Facebook, Instagram, but I think I'm using it more for um again, this is like more technical stuff. I'm using it more for trying to get to a place where my cold calls become more warm calls. They get an email, they get my text, and then I've been using Facebook Pixel to run the ads to those people. So
Smart.
yeah, so that cycle with just the agent relationships, that's kind of where and it's not expensive because not everyone has their Facebook link to their certain, it has to be the certain email and all that stuff. It's all technical. It's a lot of technical stuff. And
I,
from the average home inspector, uh, we're not technical. Firemen, we call things fireman proof, home inspector proof, 100% is a real thing, right? It's the same concept. Most of them are blue collar guys. And, if, like I said, if you have the budget to, hire certain people and put systems in place, you just got to do it one time and let it run its course. And that would be my advice to anyone that's not so good on the computer or not so savvy, in these situations.
I want to ask you something though. So like you were a cop, you're a firefighter. Did you just figure all this stuff out and self-teach how to run ads, how to do the Google guaranteed stuff? You seem like you just figure stuff out. Like, is that accurate?
Yeah, I mean, you know, even uh in my training with my first trainee, right? Like the way I learned, I literally jumped in. I did my 40 hours. I think I did a few, I think I inspected everyone in my family's house, which was like 10 people, like 10 houses. And I literally got hired for my first inspection. I was imposter syndrome to the max, didn't even know what I was doing. And I just learned as I went, and I learned from templates that in the template center. I downloaded 5 templates and read everything, that common mistakes people were finding. And then just learn by doing. I started, and honestly, that's the training I'm giving. It's probably not the best training style. Maybe it is, but I'm kind of letting my inspector. I said, listen, you're not gonna learn until you do this stuff. So I kind of just let him. Like yesterday, we did one yesterday together. I let him do the inspection, and I just stood behind him. And he's not ready for that, but he has to, and I point out what he misses. You miss this, you miss this, and that's how my training kind of has been going, and that's how I learned. Yeah, like you said, I just YouTube. I YouTube a lot of stuff.
Yep.
YouTube. I mean, I'm in the chat bubble a lot. I'm in
Yep.
the Spectora chat bubble a lot. You know, because it's there. And it's amazing. In terms of like just learning how to do things. And you just try to focus on what's next. I use a lot of notes. I write stuff down. The hardest thing is the ads. The
Yeah.
ads make you. I've sat at my computer for 10 hours and literally have done nothing on Facebook ads. Like it's crazy. Google ads is probably even worse. So that's why I don't really dabble in it. I tried. It's just it's a career. It's a career in that. It really is. So anyone struggling in that arena, it's not you. Trust me.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
and I'm just so impressed by, yeah, the learn by doing, dive in, go to YouTube University. You could pretty much learn how to do anything. Did you really have to prioritize your time when you weren't, busy doing other things, or, at least at this point, not when you're not at the fire station, do you time box kind of like what you work on, or is it more just like, all right, I need to shift my attention here and just kind of more random? Like, how do you
Yeah.
prioritize time?
Yeah, it's so funny you asked that because like I said, firemen have our schedule is like we'll come off a night tour, right, 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning, come off a day tour and it's 5 o'clock at night, right? So like I'm saying that, and the schedule is nowhere has no structure to it whatsoever. There's zero structure, right? So anyone who's part time that has more of a structured thing, absolutely time block. It will make your life so easy. My time blocks are literally two things. Like if I come off a night tour, I make cold calls. If I come off a day tour, I make content. Like that's it. That's all I do. So if
I
I
love it.
come, that's my time block. But I can't actually time block anything. Like even I would love to be able to time block my inspections, right? Like daily. Like if I had any sort of structure and tell every agent, hey, go to my scheduler, schedule online. My blocks are all in there, and my events all block out times I'm not available, right? Even if you have a dinner, right, Inspector, if you have a dinner scheduled, you block it out, or a brunch, whatever. They can't schedule you. I would be using that. I would be pushing every agent I talk to never call me, but I cannot. It's impossible for me in my situation. So anyone who has that situation, please, you need to use that. It's the easiest thing. The friction for your agents is amazing, and like you said, time blocking, all your other activities to grow the business as the business owner, right? As the
Right.
business owner, for you to do this kind of marketing, and if you're making videos or all that stuff.
You mentioned creating content. Are you creating content for social, or what are you creating when you say creating content?
Yeah, I've been in the content realm, the whole time, hot and cold as everyone. Like some months I'm like, oh, I'm killing it. I'm making amazing videos. And then some months I'm not doing anything. What I've learned, right, as I'm at a place now where um I have learned that, especially since Instagram's changed also big time. So now no one sees my inspected post. No one sees them, right? So no one, and no offense to no one cares, right? Truly, like no one cares, right? It's even for agents that just sold a $5 million house and they post sold, no one cares, seriously. So what I've been doing, and it just started doing it, right, is now it's not about me. I put um, for the agent, I put just accepted offer, right? They got an accepted offer for their buyer. They recommended me. I put their picture. I put my little thing on the bottom, and I make a nice post for them. And I tag them as a contributor, right? I haven't seen. I just want to make it more about them and less about us. Like we're just a footnote. We're just a footnote on their success. Like they were with that client for showing them 500 houses before they got this deal done, right? And in terms of, so that's more on the side of for the for the closings, and oh, my business is doing well. But for people watching videos, right, educating, right, like educating about roofs, HVAC, and everything to people is great, right? But now, for me, I think that, especially in like my audience, all realtors, right? All realtors, all small business and regular people. So for me now, I'm trying to shift more to what we're talking about. Like, how did I grow? How's it running a small business? How did I, because service businesses, they're all the same, right? It's all the same marketing. So how did I grow the business? What's working? What's not working? What you should do, what you shouldn't do, and less about, water, mitigating, leaks in your house, because I feel like some of those will hit and some of them will be valuable to people. But for me, 100,000 other contractors on TikTok seeing my thermal imaging water leak and like arguing about it in the video doesn't make me money. It's hilarious, but it doesn't make me any money because they're not going to hire me, all these people. I want my leads, my clients, and my agents to see value in my page and come to my page and say, oh, how did, oh, my casino tripled his revenue this year. How did that happen? I want to triple my revenue, So I think and I'm not, making that content's not easy. It's not an easy thing to do, and I'm trying to figure it out.
It's a part to full-time job in itself because
Yes.
I'm still editing some of our content and for social, and man, you realize you could spend an hour or two just for one clip, and then you're
Yeah.
like, sweet, no one really watched that.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, because the video, the algorithm is crazy now. It's not forgiving.
right.
It needs to be that short hook, and it's not like again, you see, there's marketing companies all over selling this to us,
Right.
selling us views and all this stuff. So I don't, like I said, I don't really rely on it that much anymore, the way I kind of did. I do see that, if when the stuff hits, the stuff like gets a lot of views, maybe I get more traction, but it's one of those invisible stats. It's in the
Yeah.
air. It's Fugazi. It's not real. Like you can't tell. There's no way to tell. Oh, if my video's got 3 million views now, I did double. It's hard to tell where it came from. Like you don't know. You
Yeah.
know.
That's why with social, I'm just a big fan of like do what comes natural, do what's in your
Right.
comfort zone, do what you think people want to see that's relatable because attributing it to that booking, good luck.
Yeah.
It's not easy connecting the dots in the marketing world.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why I would say all the stuff before. It's important to get your brand out there, but the other stuff there, I know guys in my market that do 700 inspections that don't do anything that I do on content, and they definitely are doing the other stuff. They're definitely talking to agents. They're definitely, they're doing the more important stuff. So I'm not saying some people would tell you you have to, but I don't believe it's a must. I do it just for brand recognition and stuff like that. But I think if you're gonna, in our realm, I don't think it's 100% necessary to like be some of these people. Some of these agents and some of these other services. They go, they're funny, they're doing funny things, and not everyone has that in them. Period.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's multiple ways to win, and depends on the market too. Some areas agents are not always on there, and it may
yeah.
not be the best place to spend your time. I got one last question for you before we bounce. So for part-time inspectors, new inspectors, what's something that you can pass on that you wish you knew, that you wish you could have done better, doing this part-time?
Um, I would say, just blocking out your time better, yeah, would be probably it, like daily tasks, right? Which is my hardest thing. Like I have daily tasks. I just, like I said, you always try to be better, right? On my phone, I have like a habits app, and it says, work out once a day, and you check it, and then it says, 10 agent phone calls, right? It's so easy. You would say, oh my God, I can make 10 agent phone, but those daily habits, right? 365 times 10 is 3,650, something like that, right? That's 3,000 agents, 3,500 agents every year you call. Those are new agents, right? New agents. So I'm saying doing daily tasks, daily habits make you win. And that's 100% the truth, you're what else could, besides, even you say, I want to do 2 posts a day, do 2 posts a day and tell me your Instagram doesn't grow in a year, and 100% it will. Same thing as, whatever you think is going to work, do it every single day, and that consistency there's no chance you won't grow, because I guarantee everyone listening that the other guys aren't doing that. 100%. They're not. Just like any other business, they're not doing that stuff. They're just waiting for their phone to ring. And if you, that's the opposite of what you have to do.
Love it. Hey man, this has been awesome. Appreciate the time. Appreciate the wisdom you've passed along.
Thank you.
We'll be keeping up with the success story, my man.
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin, so much. I appreciate you guys. And if you don't have Spectora, that's need to be on that.
Get on it.
Best software there is.
All right, brother. Appreciate you.
All right, talk to you later.
See you.
Bye.